thank that gentleman for his comments and recognise the Leader of the Opposition to open the bench for Yale A.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, members of this most august House. I'm going to do a couple things in this speech. First, I'm going to present Grant's and Mine's philosophy. What we think that is best for everyone involved is to not confuse a couple different things: asylum, refugee, and immigration status. We think that all these things work independently. We think that when you confuse these things, you have terrible harms both for the asylum seekers, for the countries they're from, and for the countries they're going to. Therefore, what our philosophy is that we need to maintain the status quo, and that work through developing channels, we can achieve the kind of human rights things that Evan and Joel want to talk about, but actually have a better economic system overall. So here's what I'm going to do. First, I'm going to refute a couple things. I'm going to say that why we have asylum is not for the reasons why they say, and then I'm going to say why the benefits to the developed countries aren't going to accrue. Then I'm going to go into our constructive matter. I'm going to give you 3 points. Those 3 points are: first, this will be worse for asylum seekers. Second, I'm going to talk to you about the perverse incentives for both the developed and the developing world. Third, I'm going to talk about how we're going to be crowding out more legitimate asylum seekers with more human rights claims than those guys. And then Grant's going to come up here and talk about how this is an arbitrary standard and just can't be held. So first, let's do the refutation. Say, listen, we have asylum because we have a bond to all human needs. Yeah, sure, that may be true, but what's the distinction between asylum and immigration? You can improve your economic situation, Mr. Speaker. The kind of immutable characteristics you can be, that's the actual definition of asylum. And then they say, listen, they're missing a right. Mr. Speaker, opportunity is a right. Standard of living is not a right. It's not right we can uphold in even many of these liberal democracies. We don't think they're going to be able to uphold it for the 6 million people in this world. We don't think that's okay. Second, they talk about the benefits of the developed world. Their only real point under this is that, listen, it will send a good message for humanity. Mr. Speaker, I think Grant asked an excellent point. He says, what kind of message is it when he says, we've given up on the 2/3 of the world that doesn't have the same standard of living that we have, and would rather just import them as cheap labor? We think that's a really bad message. So let's get on to the constructive matter. Listen, Mr. Speaker, there's a very clear internationally accepted definition of asylum. That definition is that you need a well-founded fear of persecution resulting in grave harm on the basis of a set of predefined immutable characteristics: race, religion, sex, political affiliation. Refugees and asylum seekers do not fit those rights. Refugees have even fewer rights, no thank you, insofar as that they don't even require a court process to go through to get into these countries like asylum seekers do, no thank you. So what are we going to say? So first, as far as how it's worse for the asylum seekers, listen, Mr. Speaker, in every single liberal democracy they're talking about, asylees in that country do not have the right to work. Why is this problematic? It seems hard to believe that they're going to get the economic benefits that they're talking about on their side of the house if they can't even work in that country. It seems like then they just become more to the state. So the obvious response is like, okay, well, we'll let them work. But there are a lot of problems with this too, Mr. Speaker. First of all, they're going to certainly need a fair amount of the social services that the state provides. This is a huge strain on the social services, which is going to be why it's worse for the developed country. And it's going to lead to backlash, which I'll talk about in my third point. But even more importantly, we say that they're going to be in really low-paying jobs since they probably don't have many skills since they were so economically despondent where they came from. Why is this a problem? Mr. Speaker, it's a lot harder to be poor in New York City than it is in the developing nations, right? The cost of living is incredibly higher in the kind of liberal democracies that these people will be moving to. We think that to move them in those kinds of cases is really problematic. Sure.
Is it honestly your point that living on the edge of existence in a subsistence economy is worse than living under a social security system in a developed country?
Right, so they're not going to be able to get that social security system because asylees are not eligible for that kind of social security system. That's another one. They don't have those kind of benefits. If you want to try to extend those kinds of benefits, then you're going to have a whole host of problems that I'm going to talk about in my third point, which is how you're going to be crowding out more legitimate asylees. So second, let's talk about the perverse incentives for both the developed and the developing. Grant and I would like to talk about a concept called exit invoice. Listen, Mr. Speaker, those that are having troubles getting into the economy in the developed nations, those are the ones that are probably trying to work, right? These are the guys trying to be entrepreneurs, trying to work in their economy. When you remove them from that economy, you've removed all incentive for that country to try to make use of that labor force. You've removed the very group that will try to be establishing the kinds of democratic norms and middle class that we think are good around the world. We think that's really problematic. Also, you've really ruined the labor economic situation, right? You're basically benefiting the developed world at the expense of the developing world, at the point at which you're giving a weak, not politically organized, low-paying labor force to the developed world and removing it from the developing world. Mr. Speaker, what is the developing world's comparative advantage? Cheap labor. What are you doing when you're removing those people from those countries? labor economics. Now, we hear from Evan that actually development takes a long time, so in the meantime we do this. We've got a big problem with this, Mr. Speaker. First of all, we don't think the development's going to happen because you're removing their labor force. Second of all, when he talks about remittances, Mr. Speaker, the empirical fact of the nature is remittances are most often used to buy consumer goods because it's a status symbol that you've got someone working abroad. If you go to shanty towns in South America, what do you see? You see people actually with televisions and stereos because that's what they bought. They're not investing that capital because there's no good way for them to invest it. There's not a built-up bank system. Those are the problems. That's why you're not seeing capital development. The kinds of remittances they're talking about just aren't going to happen. So what if Brandeis says this is a problem? Well, listen, you're going to be turning developing nations into ghost towns without the labor force. That's the problem. We also think, no thank you, that you're sending the terrible message to these countries that their country is irredeemable. They will never have a good enough economy, thus we should just move into ours. We think that removes all incentive for them to try to build up their economy if the governments don't have the hordes of poor people that want a better life for themselves. See the exit invoice, no thank you. So also for the developed nations, this is a problem because there's no social state investment. Why would you invest in your social state if you think that all these other people are going to just receive the benefits? Which brings me to my third point, that you're going to be crowding out more legitimate asylums. Listen, Grant and I would love for everyone to have great lives, but the fact of the matter is political will has limits. Even now in the current situation, most countries accept a tiny fraction of the asylees of the political definition that I gave you in the compromise speech into their system. Now listen, even in Denmark, which has the most asylees per capita of any nation in the world, only has around 14,000 asylum seekers. And there's a major party, the Danish People's Party, that has 20 to 30% of the parliament, that their only position is they want those asylees out. So what does this mean? It means you're reducing the total numbers of asylum seekers in the world. Why is this a problem? Because most people fleeing their nations are actually doing so for immutable characteristics. You can't build yourself out into a religion that won't get persecuted. You can't build yourself out into a different gender. We don't think that's okay. We think that economics is not immutable like race and gender, thus it's okay for people to be in that position instead of those of race and gender. Grant's going to further talk about that even that economic standard is incredibly arbitrary. What if we told you? We said that you can't confuse these concepts. When you do, you make everything worse for everyone involved. Thus, on the philosophical ground that we will get more asylum seekers on our side of the house, and on the practical grounds that we think it's better for all the economies involved, we clearly stand in opposition.